Hello and welcome to the Homeless Consultant channel. My name is Paul B. I am the Homeless Consultant. And in this video I'm just going to offer you a preamble to my next video, which will go into more depth about the depths that Governor Tim Walz has sunk to this year. In order to do that, I want to set the stage for making the very clear point and frankly undeniable argument that Governor Tim Walz is a domestic enemy of the people. He's committing sedition, he's committing treason, and he needs to be locked up and prosecuted as such. In order to do that, I need to go back to the beginning. I'm going to go back to the preamble of the Constitution of the United States of America. Now, when the founders wrote the Constitution, the preamble is kind of their elevator pitch. It's one sentence long. I mean, it's a long sentence, but it's one sentence long. And it is what encapsulates everything that the American Revolution was about. Now, what that was about morphed and changed over time, but at the time they created the Constitution, they had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time. Remember, this was many years after the Revolutionary War. And then they had the war, and they had everything that preceded the Revolutionary War. So they had had almost a generation to really solidify what this new country was going to be about. And the preamble to the Constitution is what tells you what their intention was for this country to be all about. And they couldn't have been more clear. They couldn't have been more clear. Just like the amendments, the Bill of Rights, can't be more clear. So let's look at the preamble to the Constitution, all right? Of course, it reads, let's see. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That's the preamble. That's it. That's their elevator pitch. That is our founding fathers' summary of what the United States of America is about. And it couldn't be stated more clearly. Now, if, before the days when journalism went down the toilet and you had all the fake news that we have today, the Star Tribune, the Pioneer Press, and all the way up to CNN and MSNBC, all this isn't even journalism. These people shouldn't even fall under the First Amendment protections because they're not doing journalism at all. And one way you can tell that they're not doing journalism is that there's kind of a fundamental law of journalism, you might say. I'm not sure what they call it, but traditionally, to be a journalist and to tell the news, to inform people of something, you had to answer certain questions. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that was the purpose. None of this stuff about, well, use manipulative language to change people's beliefs and attitudes, misrepresent the truth over here, use vague words like could and maybe and should and might. None of that. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. That's what a journalist does. So let's look at the preamble to the Constitution as a journalist. The who is really easy. It says right at the beginning, we, the people of the United States. That's who. Why? Well, it says, in order to accomplish these various goals. That's why. That's why we, the people, that's the why. What? What is it that they're doing? Well, oops, I have to scroll here. Well, form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That's what. All right. How about the how? How are they going to accomplish this? Well, They ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That's how they're going to do it. They're establishing this Constitution. That's how. When? Well, when it was ratified, right? 1784. So there you go. I think that's everything, right? Who, what, when, where. Well, where. I mean, it's not in there, but obviously at the Continental Congress. Who, what, when, where, why, how, and when. Yeah, that's everything. See, if you're a journalist, that's what you would say. You wouldn't sit there and say things like, like in my last video about communism, where they tried to pitch this ridiculous idea that the Constitution is this amorphous form that changes over time. And no. They established a 4-page Constitution to accomplish these specific goals. And I want to look at those goals more closely here. And again, remember the things that Governor Tim Walz has been doing. And he's not the only governor doing this stuff, but you'll notice the ones who are doing this tend to lean in a particular direction, a direction that is so antithetical to everything in the Constitution that you have to ask the question, why would you run for office in a system that you utterly despise and you undermine and subvert at every opportunity? Why would you want to be the leader? Let's say that you join a company and the company is just repugnant to you in every way. The place even smells bad. The people are mean and rotten. They're unethical. You don't make any money. Everyone hates you because you're in it. It's just, there's nothing good about having this job. The paycheck, they don't even pay you on time half the time. There's nothing good about it. Why would you want to rise to the top and become the CEO of that? Now you can sit there and say, well, it's because I want to change it and make it better and all that. It's like, really? Is that really what you want to do? Or would you rather go over here to where there's a company that's already aligned with your way of thinking and take it over, because then instead of doing a complete overhaul, you would be modifying a company that already is consistent with your beliefs and what you want. And even that analogy isn't very good, because a company, while they may have their, they have their own rules and they have their own established protocols and everything, but the United States of America has a way to change the Constitution if you don't like it. It's called amending the Constitution. It's in those 4 pages. And if the whole purpose of going through this amendment process is that if the people as a whole don't want it, because maybe you want to do something really stupid or dangerous or dumb, then you're not going to accomplish it. You're not going to amend the Constitution. It's difficult to amend the Constitution for that reason. Now, if the Constitution was this fluid thing that just, it doesn't apply anymore, it was 200 years old, then the people would recognize that, and amending the Constitution would be a piece of cake. But the Constitution is so fundamental, it addresses, it's almost natural laws. It's like natural laws of society, natural laws of civilization. Okay, and so there isn't a whole lot in there that you would want to amend, because it does it right in the first place. The problem comes when you get people who enter that company and they say, you got a company that's run really well and everything's good, and they're the ones who turn the company into a toilet. Remember that first company I told you about? Well, did it just start out that way, or did it start out as a good company and some really rotten leaders in there turned it into that kind of a toilet? This country is the greatest country that has ever existed. Let's look at the specifics of what they wanted to do here with the Constitution. Form a more perfect union. The United States is a union of independent states. At the time, 13 colonies, right? 13 states. They want to form a more perfect union. That's kind of vague, right? That's because it's obvious what they mean. They want to make things better. You don't have to go beyond that. That's all they're saying. In order to make it more perfect, in order to make it better. Now, they're not setting this goal and saying, well, we have to reach this goal here. They're just saying to make it better. We might succeed, we might fail, but we're going to try to make it better. Establish justice. What is justice? Okay, to start off with, you can't have justice if you don't have law and order. You have to have rules. You have to have procedures. Okay, and you have to keep corruption out of it in order for it to be truly just. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. And there's an awful lot of problems with our justice system, but overall, compared to other countries, it does a pretty good job. There's a lot of flaws and there is a lot of injustice, but compared to what came before, it does do a pretty good job as long as you keep rotten and corrupt and stupid judges off the bench. Even juries do a better job than many of these judges. And remember, one of my existential threats to the United States is judges legislating from the bench. In other words, completely overturning what the Constitution is when they don't have the authority to do it. They're committing sedition, they're committing treason, and they should be suffering the punishment of a traitor. And we all know what that punishment is. But what do we have today? Do we have justice? Do we have law and order? Or take a look at Minneapolis, for example. Just a stone's throw away from Governor Walz's home and his office at the state capitol in St. Paul. Is that the epitome of law and order, or is that just a completely lawless anarchy? Then he did nothing about it. Toppling over statues, things like that. Is that a leader? Is that somebody who's establishing justice, or is that a complete, utter, incompetent fool? Or is it someone who's deliberately not taking action because they want to undermine and destroy what this preamble describes? I'll let you decide which it is. Provide for the common defense. Remember, you've got independent states, but other nations attack us. They don't attack one state, they attack us as a nation. We need to provide a common defense for the whole country. Okay, and that comes from militia, that comes from citizens being armed in the first place. That's why they had to amend the Constitution to make that clear. And then they formed militias, and at some point we ended up with a standing military, which we really shouldn't have had. But there's an instance of where we needed to have something in this day and age, and we got it. And it didn't require amending the Constitution to have it. But fundamentally, the militia is what's supposed to protect this nation. And historically, that's really what did, until we started going overseas and overextending our bounds. Let's see, we're going to look at this one later, so let me skip to the last one here. Ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. The blessings of liberty. Did they say anything at all here about the blessings of slavery? Did they say anything about the blessings of oppression? Did they say anything about the blessings of tyranny? Did they say anything about the blessings of dictatorship? Did they say anything about the blessings of some total stranger who you may never even meet dictating the minute terms of your existence? No, folks, they said the blessings of liberty. The blessings of liberty. What brings you the blessings is liberty, being free. Free from tyranny, dictatorship, morons who you may never even meet, claiming some kind of right to come in and dictate the terms of your existence. For example, like what you're wearing. You will wear this mask, for example, or else. The Constitution couldn't be more clear of what their intent is. And it doesn't matter if you just say, okay, well, I'm a random stranger and I want to dictate the terms of existence for 5.6 million Minnesotans, most of whom I'll never even meet in my life, but I've got some kind of megalomaniac, psychotic episode going on here, and I want to dictate the terms of their existence. That's important to me. So I'm just going to come up with a justification for it. I'm going to, let's say, to save lives. There we go. I'll just say I'm doing it to save lives. Okay? You must wear a mask to save lives, or else. The Constitution says secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. There's nothing in here about, like the First Amendment, the right to peaceably assemble, being null and void during a pandemic. There's nothing about that. What it says is that your right to peaceably assemble shall not be infringed. Period. Because your right to peaceably assemble is, among other things, what brings the blessings of liberty, you see. And just because someone comes along and says, well, I'm doing it to save lives, I'm doing it to save children. The reason you can't smoke a cigarette in this bar where everyone's drinking and where the bar owner doesn't have a problem with it and the patrons frankly don't have a problem with it, or they can go somewhere else if they do. But I, as this total stranger out here, say you can't do this. It's to save lives. It's why it's to save children. That's what it's for. How does that change the fact that the Constitution is very, very clear? The blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. You know, Kim Jong-un, whatever, with the bad haircut over there in North Korea. Think about it, folks. Again, put on your thinking cap, please. If you're in North Korea, if he came out and he said, I want everybody to walk on all fours from now on. You have to walk from on all fours, and you must wear a unicorn's horn strapped on your forehead. And whenever you're actually in motion, you must make a sound similar to "ar, ar, 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 ar." Okay, so you have millions of North Koreans. Now, you tell me, if these people have any kind of dignity and they stand up for themselves the way our founders did, wouldn't they run this guy? This guy would finally be out of power, right? They would overrun the place, and he would be like Mussolini and others who suffer the fate of tyrants and dictators. You would think. But if these people are so beaten down that they don't even understand the very concept of freedom and liberty anymore, they've had it taken away for so many generations that they don't even know what freedom is or why it's important. Guess what you're going to have, folks? You're going to have millions of people in North Korea walking around on all fours with a unicorn horn going, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." And you know that's true. You know that is true. If those people do not stand up for themselves, they will walk on all fours. And if this guy just justifies it by saying, well, I'm saving lives. I'm saving children by doing this. Of course I am. And people are sitting there going, well, this is the stupidest thing I ever heard of, but my only option is to challenge this guy and put myself at risk, so that I can be free and my children can be free. But I don't want to do that because I'm a lazy piece of garbage who doesn't value himself or other people. So I'm just going to stay back and I'm not going to challenge this fool. And I'm going to sit there and sing his song and say, well, this is to save lives. This is to save children. Makes no rational sense, but that's what it's for. Well, do you want to hurt children? Get down on your hands and knees. And you know it's true. You know in North Korea, if he made a law like that, there's only two things that could happen. Either finally there would be a revolution and that guy is gone forever, never to hurt another person again, or you're going to have millions of people walking around on all fours sounding like seals. And you know which one they're probably going to do, don't you? Because they've lost the will to live, to exist, to thrive, to be free. They've lost that will. It's been stripped from them under that kind of tyranny for so long, which is exactly what Americans are being trained to do by things like what Governor Tim Walz is doing. And the proof is in exactly what he's doing. He's not telling us yet to walk around on all fours with a unicorn's hand, but he's telling people to walk around with a mask over their face. And the reason is to save lives, save children. You don't want to hurt children, do you? What about grandma? Now, if you look into it, if you look into science of it, if you just think about it, it makes no rational sense. But even if it did, make it voluntary. You know what? People are going to die. That's the way life is. But are they going to die free, or are they going to die like North Koreans, where they never had a life worth living in the first place? The Constitution is singing the song of human dignity throughout. Every individual is supposed to have that kind of dignity. Every move Governor Tim Walz makes sucks and takes away other people's dignity. Other people's dignity. Let's look at that last one, and the most important one in this case. Promote the general welfare. Let's do a word study on this, because it's only 4 words long, right? Promote the general welfare. 4 words. What does the word general mean? This is a beverage. It's pretty general, isn't it? I mean, what is it? Is it Pepsi? Is it coffee? Is it water? What's in here? Do you know? Because I just said this is a beverage and I'm holding up this can, but do you know what's in here? How do you know I didn't already drink it and go fill it with water at the water fountain? Maybe there's water in here. See, I'm being pretty general, aren't I? This is a beverage. I can be a little more specific. It's a refreshing beverage. Still doesn't tell you what's in here. But if I say instead that this is a Kickstart energy drink made by the makers of Mountain Dew, and that's what's in here, that's pretty specific. You know exactly what's going on. If you go to a general store, do you expect to see every single type of cell phone ever made that's available out there? Or do you expect to see a small sampling of some cell phones and a sampling of clothes and a sampling of food and a sampling of guns and ammunition and a sampling of toys? Because it's a general store. It has a little bit of everything, but not a lot of one thing. It's a general store. If you want a specific store for phones, you go to a cell phone store. If you want a bigger selection, something that specializes in clothes, because you need a tuxedo or a prom dress, you go to a clothing store. They specialize in that kind of thing. Or if you need a tuxedo, you might go to a tux shop, which is even more specific. You see, general and specific are two different things. The Constitution has the word general. Remember that, please. Welfare. Now, today, in this day and age, the word welfare has been corrupted to mean free money, free support, right? Free stuff, Obama phone. So you get unemployment insurance, you get these stimulus checks, all these things that these lazy Minnesotans don't want to go back to work because they're making more money living off, well, this homeless guy making all the money and paying his taxes. That's the one who's keeping them in their comfortable homes, these lazy Minnesotans. Because I didn't take any of that. I didn't take unemployment. Couldn't get a stimulus check if I wanted it, right? I had to earn my money. Welfare, though, what does welfare mean? It means just well-being. Again, you don't have to get more specific, just general well-being. Well-being. I care about your well-being. I care about your welfare. It doesn't mean something super specific. I care about the molecules in your toenails, that they don't have this particular fungus, this particular strain of this particular fungus. You see, that's not what it's talking about. I care about your welfare. I care about you. Welfare. Well-being. General. Now, there are instances where you get more specific with it. For example, if parents have a child, they have a responsibility and an obligation to raise that child. And that means they have to get much more specific about the welfare of that child. They are responsible for ensuring the minute welfare. They are responsible for making sure that child doesn't have fungus, any kind of fungus, in their toenails, right? But the neighbor down the street, they have absolutely no business taking that kind of concern with your children, because they're your children. They're not theirs. And believe me, if those people are that much of a nanny, that much of a busybody who wants to just waste their entire existence just nosing around in everybody else's business and trying to dictate what they do, those people aren't going to let you tell their kids what to do. Take away their parenting responsibilities. No way in the world. See, that's called a tyrant. That's a bad person. That's the kind of person who makes the world a rotten, unpleasant place, which goes against, like the Declaration of Independence says, among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's that word liberty again. Isn't that interesting? The word liberty seems to come up a lot with the founders. The pursuit of happiness. It's hard to be happy when total strangers, or even if people if someone else is entering your life all the time and telling you what to do. And that's why the Constitution says the government can't do that. And it's supposed to protect you from anybody doing that. That's the whole point of this. That's what the government is for. It is to protect you, to protect your rights. Not to protect you from coronavirus, but to protect you from anybody who will violate these precepts. Anybody who will try to take away your liberty, your freedom, because you're free to wear a mask if you want to. You're free to stay indoors and to not work if you want to. You're free to run and hide from this virus if you want to. You're free to do that. But once you start telling other people, you must wear a mask, that's a whole nother story. And to make that point clear, let's look at the third big word in this statement. Promote. Promote the general welfare. General welfare. General welfare. Not specific, minute aspects of your daily existence that's dictated at the end of a gun. Promoting the general welfare. If you come up with a new mouse, better mouse, not a better mouse trap, but a better mouse, and you want to sell it, you want to make money manufacturing and selling this, well, you have to promote it, right? In other words, other people have to know that it exists. Why would they buy it if they didn't know it exists? Well, how do you promote it? You advertise, television, radio, the internet, magazines. You put store displays up so that people can see them. You put them in stores so that they're just there so people can see them. You might hand out flyers. You might do clever things to make people aware of your better mouse. It's called promotion. You're promoting something. But if you come up to me and you stick a gun in my head and you say, you will buy my mouse or else you're going to get punished, that's not promotion. That's evil. That's just absolutely downright, that goes beyond racketeering and mobster. That is what evil is. See, promoting doesn't mean you stick a gun to someone's head and tell them, you will do this or else. Or else I'm going to treat you like a child. You know, the way that you're supposed to treat your child because you are responsible for your child. You're an adult, and this total stranger out here, this nobody, this megalomaniac who thinks that they're some kind of a savior figure in this world, some kind of a superhero, they're going to tell you, the adult, what to do the same way that you are supposed to tell your children, and they're supposed to tell their children, but they're out there telling out all these other adults. You see, that's evil. And that's exactly what the Constitution was preventing American citizens from ever having to endure ever again, unlike every human being who existed before the United States. Promote the general welfare. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to smoke in a bar where the bar owner on his own private property allows you to smoke. That's what a dictator does. That's what someone who is evil does. And it doesn't matter if they say it's to save lives, it's to save children. Now get on your hands and knees, and here's the horn, and start squealing like a seal. It doesn't matter, does it? Ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Not just the liberty to smoke inside a bar where the owner allows it, but the liberty to not have to go to that bar if you don't like it. You can go somewhere else. You can even start your own bar where you as the proprietor say, I don't allow smoking in my bar. See how it flies. See how it flies. If a lot of other people agree with you, then your bar's going to thrive. If most of the people out there say that's a really stupid idea that you can't smoke in a bar, then your bar's going to go down the toilet, which is exactly what happened with every non-smoking bar that started, isn't it? But anti-smokers didn't like that because they are not out to save lives. They're not out to ensure the blessings of liberty. They don't care anything about the Constitution. They're just a bunch of psychotic megalomaniacs who want to dictate the minute terms of existence for every other person on earth because they're the superhero, they're the savior. They're evil. And when you do it, that kind of evil, where you're constantly challenging and uprooting and subverting our Constitution of the United States, that makes you a traitor to the United States of America. And what happens to traitors? Through due process of law, being, arrested, jailed, tried, convicted, and the punishment, of course, for a traitor is capital punishment, as it should be. Because that's what tells other people, you're not going to do this. If you do this, that's what you get. That's why it is one of the most serious crimes you could ever commit. As I go on to the next video here, I want you to remember everything I said here about what that little tiny preamble of the Constitution really means, what it really says if you think about it. Think about it. Because you're going to see Governor Tim Walz is completely uprooting everything that is the founding principles of this nation. And what does that make him? And what punishment does that make him eligible for? Of course, that's only if we live in a country that is concerned with justice, which requires law and order. But hey, what do you know? It says right here in the preamble of the Constitution, establish justice. Seems like we have a mandate, we have a moral and a legal obligation as American citizens to prosecute Governor Tim Walz. Thank you so much for watching, and come back for the next video where I'll go into some specifics of just a couple of instances of where this man has so fundamentally violated the very foundation of this nation that he needs to be put on trial and punished for his crimes against the people, we, the people of the United States of America. Thank you for watching.